Revealed, how a cleaning lady's unexpected act of love transformed a millionaire's life forever. Lisa stared at the posh penthouse, its sheer size and luxury barely registering amidst her daily struggles. This was not her home. It belonged to someone else, the kind of someone who turned a blind eye to people like her. Yet as she dusted the expensive shelves and wiped the glossy floors, she felt a spark of hope. Her son, Ethan, was counting on her to make their dreams possible. He wanted to go to college, and she was determined to pave that path, even if it meant sacrificing her own happiness. Her heart raced as she caught sight of Mark, the reclusive millionaire who owned this glamorous space. He was lost in thought, his face shadowed by the weight of memories. Lisa sensed his sorrow, it mirrored her own burdens. With a smile, she approached, offering a cheerful greeting just like she did with every client. "Good morning, Mark. Beautiful day, isn't it?" What started as simple pleasantries soon turned into shared moments. Mark began to take notice of the thoughtful notes Lisa would leave, small bursts of encouragement scribbled on colorful sticky notes tucked into corners. "Hello, sunshine. Remember to take a breath today," they read. Each note chipped away at the icy shell he had surrounded himself with. Slowly, a friendship bloomed, their laughter echoing through the penthouse as Lisa shared snippets of her life, her struggles, her joy in simple things, and the dreams she had for Ethan. But not everything was clean and bright. One afternoon, while cleaning the gleaming marble countertop, Lisa overheard Mark's peers whispering behind his back as they dined lavishly on delicate hors d'oeuvres. The disdain in their voices was palpable. "Why waste time with her? She doesn't fit in our world." Mark's eyes darkened, caught between the life he had and the connection he was forming with Lisa. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Lisa's joy was suddenly eclipsed by a looming financial crisis. A notice of eviction fluttered ominously on her kitchen table. She fought to keep tears from spilling. How could she protect Ethan, her pride and joy? In her moment of vulnerability, she retreated into herself, pushing Mark away, afraid to burden him with her troubles. Meanwhile, Mark, who had begun to see life through new eyes, felt his chest tighten at her retreat. Was she slipping away? As tensions escalated, that heavy silence fell between them one fateful afternoon. Lisa stood her ground, her heart poised for battle. Mark was caught in a storm, afraid to risk everything he had for a woman who had shown him true warmth and hope. And as he prepared to confront his peers, polishing his resolve to stand up for Lisa, the stakes rose sky high. Could love really conquer the invisible walls built by class and disdain? Would Mark take that leap of faith? The air crackled with possibilities, leaving the question lingering: who would break first, the oppressed or the oppressor? The day dawned brighter than usual, a golden light spilling through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Mark's penthouse. Yet, all Mark felt was heaviness. His heart was a storm of confusion and uncertainty. He could still hear the whispers, the judgment. It had been a few days since Lisa had distanced herself, and that distance gnawed at him like a hungry wolf. He walked restlessly through his sprawling apartment, every corner echoing Lisa's laughter. Her sparkle, the way she could fill empty spaces with light, was gone. His thoughts drifted to the bitterness he had overheard. His friends, those who shared his wealth and status, did they truly believe they were better than her? Why did their opinions matter? He clenched his fists, frustration flaring inside him. Already, he had begun to change, but he wondered if it was too late to bring her back into his world. He moved to the balcony, gazing out over the city below. People hustled, lives interwoven like threads in a giant tapestry. Each a story, each a struggle. And in that moment, he realized he could not let Lisa slip away. She was as much a part of his transformation as he was. He needed to fight for her, to show her that love was worth the risk. With newfound determination, Mark dialed his trusted assistant, Sarah. "We need an event. Something big. Something where I can show solidarity, reflect my new values, bring people together, including Lisa." "Are you sure?" Sarah's voice was cautious, the hesitation clear. "You know how your peers are, that's the point." He interrupted, his voice steady. "This isn't just about me. It's about everyone I want to keep in my life, like Lisa. I'm tired of hiding. This is my life, and I'm done letting others dictate it." As he hung up, Mark breathed a sigh of relief. He had a plan. Now he only had to hope Lisa would accept his invitation when the time came. Meanwhile, Lisa sat at her kitchen table, staring blankly at the eviction notice. The weight of it seemed insurmountable. She felt isolated, trapped in a world that didn't seem to care about dreams. Ethan's excitement over college faded, replaced by a lump of worry in her throat. She longed for solace, for the laughter she had shared with Mark, but a part of her was terrified. What if he turned away, disgusted by her situation? He deserved better than the mess her life had become. Lost in thoughts of regret and longing, she jolted when her phone buzzed a message from Mark. "I'm having a gathering soon. I'd love for you to come. You won't just be a cleaner that night, you'll be my guest." Her heart raced, but doubt clouded her mind. What did he see in her? She wanted to believe she was worthy of such kindness, but the whispers of shame clawed at her resolve. Could she really face the glitz and glamour of his world? Was it worth the risk of rejection? As she wrestled with her emotions, Mark paced his penthouse floor. Would she come? And if she did, would it be enough to mend what had been broken? The night of the event loomed closer. It promised chaos, but also resolution, a chance to confront the deep-seated issues of class and connection. Would they both have the courage to step into the light of vulnerability, leaving behind the shadows of their fears? As the evening approached, the air thickened with anticipation, and both of them stood on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap. Whether into hope or despair remained to be seen. Was it about to be a night of healing or another moment of heartbreak? The stage was set, but who would take the first step? The evening arrived with an electric buzz that vibrated through the city streets. Mark stood at the entrance of his penthouse, adjusting his tie, the nervousness swirling inside him like leaves caught in a gust of wind. He glanced at the clock. The guests would be arriving soon. As he rehearsed what he might say, he could only think of Lisa. His heart raced at the prospect of seeing her. He had arranged the space with careful thought. The living room was transformed into an inviting gathering, warm lights cast a soft glow over the room. Crystals adorned the table, catching the light, a stark contrast to the heaviness he felt inside. As each minute passed, his anticipation morphed into anxiety. What if she didn't come? What if he lost her for good? Meanwhile, Lisa stood in front of her bathroom mirror, anxiously fussing with her hair. She could hardly recognize the reflection staring back at her. Dressed in a flowy dress borrowed from a friend, it felt foreign and yet beautiful. Yet shadows lurked behind her confidence. What was she doing? Entering Mark's world felt like stepping into a fairy tale, but she was all too aware that she was no princess. Taking a deep breath, she rehearsed a smile. She had made the decision, she would go. The freedom of choice washed over her like a gentle tide, but anxiety quickly followed. What would she say? How would she navigate conversations filled with wealth and success when she felt trapped in her own inadequacies? Arriving at Mark's penthouse, she felt a rush of nostalgia. The last time she had stood here, all was right in her life. Now, the weight of worries pressed on her shoulders. But just as she steeled herself to step inside, she noticed a small group of Mark's friends gathered nearby, laughter spilling out in waves. They were impeccably dressed, a blend of pastels and tailored suits. With every giggle, her doubt twisted painfully in her stomach. Pushing through the door, she felt the air shift. Mark looked up, a wave of relief washing over his face. He parted the crowd and made his way towards her, his eyes brightening, a beacon in the busy room. "You came," he said, his voice filled with warmth. She stammered, her confidence faltering as his gaze bore into her. "I didn't want to miss this." As the evening unfolded, Lisa found her place among the crowd. Mark introduced her with pride, dispelling any lingering doubts about her worthiness. The laughter became a comforting backdrop, an unexpected connection sparking between them as they reminisced about easier times. Beneath the surface, however, storms brewed. Whispers echoed of judgment, misunderstanding, and fear. Every so often, Mark would catch her eye from across the room, a silent promise shared in fleeting glances. Was this gathering truly about healing? Or was it merely a stage for her to confront her insecurities? As the night reached its peak, Mark lifted his glass, seeking the crowd's attention. "Tonight isn't just a celebration of success, it's about recognizing what that success cost us, the people we care about. Too often, I've stood in the light, forgetting those in the shadows," he announced. His gaze locked on Lisa. To love someone means to fight for them. Her heart skipped. Was he ready to share their truth? Could he defy the judgment of his peers? The room fell silent, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Then, Lisa's breath caught as she felt a wave of vulnerability wash over her. The time was now. But what could she possibly say that would hold the weight of his intentions? Did she have the strength to embrace this moment, or would she retreat back into the shadows once again? As she opened her mouth to speak, the tension spun tight, a single truth waiting to be released. Would she have the courage to voice the fears that had kept her silent for so long? Lisa could feel the eyes of the room on her, each gaze heavy with expectation. Her thoughts raced, swirling around in a storm of doubt and emotion. What if she stumbled over her words? What if the truth she dared to speak shattered everything she held dear? But as she locked eyes with Mark, the warmth in his gaze reignited a flicker of courage within her. "Mark," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. But she immediately felt the room lean in, hanging on her every word. "I've been struggling, with who I am and where I fit into all this." Her hand instinctively waved around, encompassing the lavish decor, the laughter, the new world spinning around them. "Sometimes, it feels like everyone here has it all figured out, and I'm just lost." Her voice cracked, revealing the raw emotion she had fought to contain. Mark stepped closer, his features softening with sympathy. "You don't have to be anything other than yourself, Lisa. That's what I love about you." The sincerity in his declaration wrapped around her, breaking the dam of her worries. "But it's hard, Mark. I feel like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff, and the fear of jumping is almost too much. I want to embrace everything, to be here with you, but I'm scared I'll fall." The crowd began to shift, whispers fluttering like birds in flight, some intrigued by her honesty, others captivated by her vulnerability. Mark's eyes shone bright with understanding, urging her on. "Fear is part of the journey," he said, his voice resonating like a heartbeat in the silence. "It's the risk that often leads to discovery. And I would never want you to change who you are. You are perfect just the way you are." Lisa stood still, absorbing his words. She breathed in deeply, letting the warmth of the moment wrap around her. It wasn't just about Mark, it was about her. About how she could reclaim her place in a world that sometimes felt too big. But could she step out of the shadows? Taking another deep breath, she found the strength to push back against her insecurities. "You're right," she said, her voice growing steadier. "But it's terrifying to believe that, especially in a world that often tells us otherwise. Showing up tonight was the first step for me. I don't want to hide anymore, but I need to know I have you by my side." Mark's face broke into a genuine smile, as if her words were like a sun breaking through the clouds. "You'll always have me, Lisa. I'm not leaving you behind." Just as the atmosphere shifted into a warm embrace, the sound of clinking glasses and murmured ahs filled the room. But an unexpected crash cut through the sweetness, like a thunderclap disrupting a soft serenade. A nearby table tipped over, scattering expensive champagne glasses everywhere. The party froze for a heartbeat, eyes darting to the source of the commotion. Amidst the chaos, Lisa caught a glimpse of a familiar face slipping away. A face that stirred memories and doubts she thought she had buried. Panic washed over her as the sense of her past flooded back. "Wait. No!" she exclaimed without thinking, her heart racing as she moved toward the door, desperate to confront the unexpected intruder of her thoughts. Mark reached for her hand, pulling her back gently. "Hey, wait. What's wrong? I need to know." "I can't go back to hiding, not now," she said, determination rising even as alarm gripped her heart. As she turned to leave, she felt every gaze heavy upon her, the room buzzing with unanswered questions. She was caught torn between the comfort she found in Mark and the ghosts of her past that clawed desperately for her attention. What awaited her on the other side? Would confronting her past give her the courage to step into her future, or would it pull her back into the shadows she had fought so hard to escape? Lisa stepped through the door, leaving a world of laughter and elegance behind. The cool night air hit her face like a splash of cold water, sharp and refreshing. She saw the figure a few paces away, clearly trying to melt into the shadows. With each hurried step, the past pulled at her, memories rushing back like a tide she couldn't hold back. "Jessica!" Lisa called out, her heart pounding. Each syllable felt like a challenge hurled into the darkness. The woman turned, surprise painted across her features. Jessica had once been Lisa's best friend, the sister she never had, but life had twisted them into different paths. A long stretch of time had passed filled with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. Seeing her now, all the complicated emotions flooded back. "Lisa?" Jessica said, hesitating as she stepped forward. I didn't expect to see you here." "Neither did I," Lisa replied, her voice trembling. "What are you doing? You just disappeared back there." "I thought it'd be easier this way." Jessica looked around, her eyes darting to the ground. "I didn't want to ruin your night." "Ruin my night? You're my friend." The urgency in Lisa's voice rang through the empty night, startling a few birds from their perches. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" I thought we could reconnect." "Reconnect?" Jessica scoffed lightly, her eyes now glistening with something unspoken. "It's not that simple, Lisa." "What do you mean?" Lisa's breath caught in her throat. "You left without an explanation. We were supposed to be there for each other, remember?" Jessica shifted, biting her lip, and Lisa could see how vulnerable she was, just like her own heart. "Things changed. I thought I was a burden. I didn't think you'd want to carry my baggage alongside your shiny new life." Eyes narrowing, Lisa took a step closer, the distance between them feeling like a chasm. "I would never think that. You're my family, Jess. I want to know what happened. Why would you think I wouldn't want you by my side?" With a shaky exhale, Jessica looked up, revealing the hurt hidden beneath those years. "Because you've moved on, Lisa. You're with someone like Mark now, and I'm just me. I don't fit into your world anymore." "No one is just a nobody," Lisa replied fiercely, emotion surging through her. "We've all faced fights that shape us, and yours are just as important as mine. You matter to me." Tears threatened to spill over Jessica's lashes. "Do I? I felt so alone even when you were just a call away." In that moment, Lisa felt a strong surge of empathy. They had both faced loneliness, each carved into different pieces of life's puzzle. She stepped closer, reaching out and taking Jessica's hands. "We've both been lost, but we can help each other find our way back." The sincerity of Lisa's words wrapped around them both like a comforting blanket. For the first time since stepping outside, the weight on her heart began to lift. But just as the tension began to ease, another commotion from inside reached them. People's voices were raised now, something was clearly amiss back at the party. Lisa and Jessica exchanged frantic glances. What now? Jessica breathed, her eyes wide with concern. Let us go find out, Lisa said, a sense of urgency darting through her. She pulled Jessica gently, guiding her back to the door. As they stepped back into the elegant chaos, Lisa felt a mix of dread and determination. Amid the uncertainty of the past, she refused to shy away from the present. Together, with Jessica by her side, could they face whatever awaited them in the swirling storm of the night? But as they entered, the atmosphere thickened, filled with whispers and quickened breaths. What had happened? What destruction lurked within a space that moments earlier had been shimmering with joy? The question loomed as they both braced for the storm, unaware that everything they knew was about to change forever. Inside the elegantly decorated venue, the laughter had dissipated into a tapestry of confusion. A cluster of guests surrounded a small table, their faces awash with concern. Whispers flitted about like errant fireflies, illuminating the palpable anxiety. Lisa felt a knot in her stomach, the air had shifted from celebration to alarm in an instant. What is happening? Lisa asked a nearby guest, a woman dressed in a shimmering gown. The woman merely shook her head, her expression a mix of worry and disbelief. In the center of the crowd, Mark stood with his hands in his pockets, his usually vibrant expressions dimmed. His gaze fixed on something on the floor, and Lisa followed his line of sight. There, sprawled on the plush carpet, lay a shattered glass, the shards reflecting the glimmers of light, an ironic mirror to the shattered ambience. But what really struck her was the pale figure lying motionless nearby. Is that? Jessica whispered, her voice trembling beside Lisa. Lisa moved through the crowd, the heaviness in her chest growing with every step. She reached the center and gasped. A member of the catering crew, the woman they had seen earlier with a warm smile, was lying on the ground, unconscious. Panic rippled through the group, eyes wide and uncertain. Call 911. Someone shouted, and the crowd erupted into motion, phones out and whispers escalating to shouts. Lisa felt as if time had slowed. She knelt beside the woman, her heart racing. What happened? She asked, her voice trembling. Mark knelt next to her, clearly shaken. I don't know. I saw her collapse after serving a drink. I thought she was just taking a break. Jessica squeezed Lisa's arm, her own face pale. What can we do? I think she needs help. Lisa exclaimed, her instincts kicking in. She reached for the woman's wrist, searching for a pulse. It was weak and unsteady, but there. A sliver of hope ignited in Lisa's chest. She is alive. We need to keep her stable until the paramedics get here. Mark's expression shifted from surprise to urgent focus. Get her feet up. We need to make sure she doesn't go into shock. Lisa quickly pulled the woman's legs onto her lap, while Mark pressed his hands gently on her shoulder. Someone get me a jacket or something to cover her. As someone rushed off to get help, a profound stillness enveloped them. The chaos receded, leaving only the rhythmic beat of the woman's heart beneath Lisa's fingertips. Why would she collapse? Jessica whispered, fear pooling in her eyes. Do you think she was? Don't think like that, Lisa replied firmly. She glanced at Mark, who was looking down, lost in thought. The burden of leadership weighed heavily upon him. We can't let this define our night, he murmured, determination filling his voice. We're going to get her through this. With every passing minute, hope began to weave itself into the fabric of their distress. They were bound by a shared purpose now, an unlikely alliance formed in the face of adversity. Lisa could almost feel the warmth of that connection growing, despite the chill of the situation. Then, as the distant wail of sirens reached them, Lisa felt something else, a flicker of realization. This moment had the power to change everything. Back there, in the shadows of their past, was a promise of something new. The very thing they had been searching for in different corners of their lives stood before them, unity against adversity. But just as the paramedics pushed through the crowd, ready to take over, Lisa felt a weighty question build within her. What if secrets lay buried, waiting for this very moment to rise? As they stepped aside to give the professionals room, Lisa caught Jessica's eye. What will we do after this? And as the sirens faded behind them, she couldn't help but wonder, was this just the beginning of their healing? What hidden truths were waiting to be unearthed in the wreckage of their lives? The paramedics moved swiftly, their presence a beacon of reassurance against the chaos that had engulfed the gathering. As they worked, Lisa stood back, her heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that this was more than just a medical emergency. It felt like a turning point, a moment when everything could shift. Mark's hands trembled slightly as he watched the professionals take over. I can't believe this is happening, he said, his voice barely a whisper. He looked at Lisa, searching for understanding, for some kind of clarity in the confusion swirling around them. We'll find out what happened, Lisa replied softly, though her own mind was racing. Why had the woman collapsed? Was it just exhaustion from the night's work, or was there something more sinister lurking beneath the surface? As the paramedics assessed the woman, the crowd began to murmur among themselves, their hushed voices a backdrop to the urgency of the situation. Jessica pulled Lisa aside, her brows knitted with concern. Do you think we should do something more? Anything to help? Lisa nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. Maybe we can organize the guests, distract them, so they don't just stare. It might help. Good idea, Jessica said, her voice gaining a bit of strength. I can talk to some of them. We need to keep the mood light, keep them from panicking. Mark glanced around at the gathering guests, and the momentary chaos became an opportunity for leadership. Everyone, listen up. He called out, raising his voice above the whispers. Let us keep calm. The paramedics are here. They know what to do. We need to stay positive and support each other. A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd, a flicker of unity igniting as guests began to rally around Mark's call. But even as the atmosphere shifted slightly, Lisa felt an odd sensation, a twinge of discomfort deep within her gut. It wasn't just about this moment, it was about the secrets that hung in the air. Everyone wore a mask, happy, relaxed, celebrating the night, but beneath it were real lives, real struggles. What did they really know about each other? What stories had gone unspoken? While the crowd worked to distract themselves, Lisa found herself wandering away slightly. She needed space to think. Amid the sea of elegant outfits and whispered confessions, she spotted a side room. When she stepped inside, it was quiet, a stark contrast to the commotion outside. She could breathe here. A flicker of movement caught her eye. There, sitting in a plush chair, was the event planner Sarah, the woman responsible for the evening's arrangements. Her face was pale, and she looked shaken. Are you okay? Lisa asked, concern flooding her voice. I feel awful about what happened, Sarah said, her hands trembling slightly. I've been running around, making sure everything is perfect, and now her voice broke. Lisa knelt beside her, drawn into her vulnerability. It's not your fault. No one could have predicted this. Maybe I should have checked up on my team more. Sarah sighed, tears pooling in her eyes. I thought everyone was doing fine. At that moment, Lisa realized that everyone here was carrying the weight of their own expectations. It wasn't just about the party, it was about connection, something they all desperately needed, even if it was hidden beneath layers of obligation and pride. Let us focus on what we can do now, Lisa suggested, her heart aching for this woman's burden. We can still help together. Just as they shared a moment of understanding, a loud voice broke through the door. We need everyone back, please. It was one of the paramedics, directing guests to return to their designated areas. As Lisa and Sarah rejoined the crowd, Lisa caught Mark's eye. He had been pivotal in holding everyone together. But after witnessing the earlier incident, she couldn't help but feel a deeper connection forming among them all, a bond forged in shared fear, concern, and the unspoken truth of their lives. Yet, as the night stretched on, Lisa couldn't shake the idea that something deeper was brewing. Would this night merely be a snapshot of chaos, or would it lead into the necessary confrontations they'd all been avoiding? With that thought, she felt a knot tighten anew, but found strength in the surging sense of unity. Little did they know that the events unfolding tonight could unravel more than just secrets, they had the potential to bring healing in unexpected ways. What lay ahead was not just a revelation, but perhaps a path toward transformation. What would they choose once the dust settled? As the guests returned to their areas, Lisa felt the energy of the crowd shift. Tension hung in the air, mixed with uncertainty. Conversations that had been filled with laughter moments before now felt stilted, the joy replaced by shared concern. She searched for a semblance of normalcy, but the atmosphere was brittle, as if it could shatter at a moment's notice. Mark stood nearby, leaning against a bar table, his face lined with worry. He caught her eye and gave a slight nod, an unspoken agreement that they needed to connect, not just as friends but as allies in a moment that demanded strength and unity. "Should we talk to everyone?" Mark asked, his voice steady despite the flicker of anxiety crossing his features. "You mean just open up about what happened?" Lisa questioned, surprised at the thought. "Not everything has to be perfect. We could acknowledge it. Let people share how they're feeling," he replied, a spark of determination lighting in his eyes. With a deep breath, she agreed. "Let us do it." They moved towards a small makeshift stage where the microphone still stood, abandoned but humming softly with the residual energy of the night. Lisa felt her heart racing as she approached the mic. She could almost hear the pulse of the crowd, waiting for direction, wanting to be heard. "Hey everyone," she began, her voice trembled slightly, but steadying herself, she pressed on, "I know this night hasn't gone as planned. We came together to celebrate, but instead, we're facing something unexpected." Around her, faces turned, their confusion melting into attention, a collective recognition of the turmoil they were experiencing. The woman who collapsed, it was shocking. "We're all trying to process it, and it's okay to feel uneasy. It's okay to feel scared." She paused, allowing the weight of her words to settle. "This isn't about hiding what we feel but facing it together." Mark stepped up beside her, his presence warm and grounding. "We often wear masks, don't we?" He spoke, drawing a few nods from the crowd. "We want to appear strong, capable, but tonight, we're reminded that we're human. We can't always control what happens to us." The murmurs shifted into more open conversations, the barriers visible before them beginning to dissolve. People nodded, some even stood to share their own feelings. Voices quaked with emotion as stories spilled forth. A woman spoke of losing her job, another shared her struggles with anxiety, and a man opened up about his yearning for connection after feeling so alone. As Lisa listened, a warmth spread within her. Vulnerability fostered connection. It was subtle but profound, each shared story building trust. In that crowded space, Lisa caught Sarah's gaze, and for the first time, she saw a flicker of hope there. Just then, a crash echoed from the far end of the hall. A table tipped over, knocking elegant glasses to the floor in a shower of glass and liquid. The crowd went silent for a moment before chaos erupted once more, panic rising as they moved away from the noise. "Stay calm," Mark shouted again, taking charge. Together, they navigated the crowd, guiding them to safety, reminding everyone of the strength they had shown moments before. Lisa felt the adrenaline surge, her instincts kicked in. They worked in resourcefulness amid panic, a desire to be there for others throbbing in her chest. Though fear swirled, they faced it head-on, transforming the debris of broken glass into something akin to resilience. As the noise died down and people started to gather their composure, Lisa felt a pulse of change within her, a determination crystallizing in the face of fear. This wasn't just a night of confusion. It was an awakening, a moment where resilience intertwined with vulnerability. But behind the facade of unity, Lisa couldn't fully shake the sense that beneath the surface, deeper secrets lurked. They had faced one shock tonight, but there might be more layers waiting to unfold. What would this night reveal next? As the pieces settled, the question lingered in her mind, the air thick with expectation. What truths would come to light, and how would they shift the very fabric of their connections? Lisa took a deep breath, scanning the crowd. The chatter had quieted, and some faces were turned toward her, expectant, while others wore looks of confusion. She felt the weight of their attention pressing down. The chaos of a moment ago had transformed into an opportunity, and she realized she had the power to steer this evening into another direction. What if we take a moment to share some gratitude? She proposed, her voice hovering over the stillness. Just small things, even the small lights can help in this darkness. A few members of the crowd nodded uncertainly, some glancing at each other. Encouraged, Lisa continued, just think about the people or moments that have brought us joy today. It can be anything. Slowly, a woman near the front stood shakily. I'm thankful for my daughter's laughter. It makes everything feel lighter. A few cheers of agreement swelled from scattered corners, and Lisa felt the energy shift. Another voice piped up. I'm grateful for each of you. We are friends, family together in this. Mark stepped forward, eyes brightening as he observed the unfolding connections. Gratitude is a powerful thing, he said, nodding at Lisa, and right now, it feels like we're under the same sky. Whatever worries we hold, sharing what we appreciate might just lift us. Conversations flared up, and gradually a sense of warmth replaced what had been so tense. Laughter began to weave through the air again, spilling out like the spilled glasses they'd just cleaned up. Tears turned to smiles, and the tension that had once made the atmosphere thick now felt like an electric charge, of hope sparking among them. Lisa felt lighter, too, a sense of purpose flooding her as she watched people connect. But beneath that joy, something was still tugging at her heart. She glanced at Sarah, who was deep in conversation with an elderly man, her brow furrowed. Lisa caught the shadow lingering over her friend's expression, a fleeting sense of something unspoken. Sarah? Lisa called, trying to pull her from the whirl of stories. Sarah turned, a hint of worry in her eyes. Lisa gestured her over. What is going on? Sarah hesitated, glancing back at the man she was speaking to. I just learned he lost his partner last year. He's been alone and afraid to connect. No one should be alone tonight, Lisa replied softly. Let us invite him to share. He has a story to tell. Mark, overhearing, leaned in. And we've got the right audience. With a renewed sense of urgency, Lisa made her way to the small stage, feeling the eyes of the crowd upon her. Can we have a moment to hear from someone special? Her voice rose with conviction. The crowd quieted, curious. The elderly man approached the mic, his hands trembling slightly. This is hard for me, he confessed, glancing anxiously at the gathered faces. But I never really talked about losing my wife. It was everything, you know. She brought life to my days. As he spoke, silence enveloped the room. Each word was imbued with a depth of emotion that pulled at their heartstrings. Lisa felt tears prick her own eyes while compassion washed over her. This was the raw essence they had all been craving, a reminder of the fragility of life and the strength found in vulnerability. When he finished, a deafening applause erupted, wrapping him in love and acknowledgement. People rose, clapping, smiling through tears. Their shared human experience united them in a way Lisa had only dreamed. But as the crowd erupted into cheers, Lisa caught a flicker of movement at the back of the hall. A figure stood watching, shadowy and withdrawn. What does he know? She wondered, a chill running down her spine. What secrets lay under the surface that could disrupt this fragile moment of unity? A sudden wave of apprehension washed over her as the figure stepped closer. What did he want? The figure moved through the crowd, his expression shrouded in uncertainty. Lisa's heart raced as she recognized him. Lucas, a man she had known from her past, someone who once belonged to her old life before everything changed. He had been a friend, then an acquaintance, someone she hadn't thought about in years. "Lucas?" she called out, stepping forward, drawing Mark and Jessica's attention. His presence felt like a ghost haunting the corners of her mind. What was he doing here? "Lisa," he replied, his voice hesitant. "I didn't expect to see you again, not like this." "None of us did," she said, emotions swirling like a tempest inside her. "What are you doing here? How did you find me?" "I heard about the event and wanted to support. I thought, well, maybe I could see everyone who mattered," he replied. Pain etched in his features. As he stepped into the light, Lisa noticed the weight of his sadness, familiar but stark against the brightness of the gathering. "You haven't changed," he said with a hint of admiration, yet it felt heavy. Behind her, Mark's protective stance stiffened. "Do you need something, man?" His question seemed less about inquiry and more about authority. But Lisa sensed Lucas's turmoil. Was he here to apologize? To explain the past? Did he have a story of his own to share? "I just wanted to talk," Lucas said, his gaze drifting to the floor. "To apologize for being absent and to thank you for being a light in all my darkness." "Thank me?" Lisa chuckled, bewildered. "You disappeared, Lucas. One day you were there, and the next, poof. I was lost," he admitted, regrets spilling like the contents of those shattered glasses. "I didn't know how to cope with my own demons. It felt easier to just fade away." The crowd had quieted, their interest piqued by the unexpected tension unfolding. Lisa could sense them leaning in, eager to absorb another layer of truth. "Maybe you're not the only one who has been lost," she said softly. "We all wrestle with our burdens. Finding a way to face them is what brings us together." She felt her heart swell, recognizing that Lucas, like herself, had transformed struggles into stories. "I thought my silence would save me. I never thought I could face you again," he said, sadness lining his features. But Lisa felt resolve rising within her. Even if he had distanced himself, she wouldn't turn her back on him now. "You're not alone anymore," she assured, her voice gaining strength. "We've all faced our fears tonight, and you're here now. That's what matters." A spark of recognition flickered in Lucas's eyes, and for the first time in a long while, he smiled a small, tentative light. "I want to learn to be better. Not for you, for me," he confessed, vulnerability woven into his words. "That's the first step." "We all have our stories," Mark added, stepping forward, the tension easing. "Take that step with us. Join in." Lucas looked around at the faces softened by understanding, gathering strength from their acceptance. "All right. I appreciate you all. Let us figure this out together." As he spoke, the crowd erupted into applause, the acceptance swirling and enveloping Lucas into the fold of their shared humanity. It was a moment of healing, a moment they all needed. Lisa felt shivers of warmth. So much had changed in a single night. They came together to share their struggles, embracing their vulnerabilities, and now they were welcoming another journey into their circle. "Let us keep sharing," Lisa said, her heart bursting with hope. "These stories, our connections, they bring us closer." As conversations began anew, old and new connections interwove, creating a tapestry of empathy that wrapped around them all. Each pulse of laughter or shared memory became a thread binding their spirits stronger. But alongside the joy, something still flickered at the edge of Lisa's mind, the realization that they had opened Pandora's box. What truths lay dormant, waiting to be confronted when the laughter faded? As if responding to her thoughts, a sudden quiet fell, drawing every eye to Lucas again. The truth is, before he could finish, a new wave of relief swept through the crowd as the paramedics emerged with the woman now stable and conscious. Cheers erupted once more, the chaos of life balancing with its beauty. Yet, as Lisa stood amid the flurry of emotion, she couldn't shake the feeling that both fear and pain were inscribed within their stories. Each moment shared was a thread towards something greater, but would they weave those threads into the strength they all sought? Together, we're stronger, she murmured, the revelation sweeping over her like a gentle breeze, igniting the path toward healing. With the promises of community surrounding her, she felt the night shift once more, a turning point where hope blossomed as the shared stories carved new paths. This was it, they were finding a way through. This was not just another party, this was where lives intersected, destinies intertwined, and the power of connection began to flow freely. However, as she glanced into the crowd, she still held a fear that bubbled beneath the radiance. Would they remain steadfast, ready to confront whatever awaited them when the dust settled? And that was a question worth pondering as they embarked into uncharted territory, the beautiful, messy, unpredictable adventure of healing together. Now, more than ever, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss out on more transformative stories just like this one. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and ensure the best content comes your way. And please, comment below with your feelings about this stunning conclusion. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to witness this journey of hope and transformation, because only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait not even one more second.